Whoever wins in the trenches between the Aggies and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish will win this pivotal Week 1 game.
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, welcome on into Locked On Aggies. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak. Thanks for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. Hope everyone's having a great Friday. Today's episode is brought to you by Ultimate GM. Ultimate College Football Head Coach is a brand new mobile game that is completely free, has no ads, and 100% playable offline. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB, all caps, inside the game store to receive a free boost to your program. Begin your coaching legacy today. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about the matchup between the Aggies and Notre Dame. And listen, this game will be won in the trenches. Now, I know what everyone's thinking is, well, a lot of football games are won in the trenches. This game, I think after breaking it down thoroughly, this game will truly be won in the trenches. We'll also talk about the quarterback matchup. I mean, we're going to be breaking down this game for the next week. Today, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and next week. And then, goodness gracious, ladies and gentlemen, it's game day. But Texas A&M and Notre Dame have similar issues. We're going to read a blurb from an article from Notre Dame Fighting Irish on SI talking about this from Notre Dame's point of view. But Notre Dame, like Texas A&M, has question marks about the offensive line heading into this season. Those question marks were even expanded wider when their left tackle went down for the season, which was a huge blow, whatever that was, 3-4 weeks ago, about a month ago, a little bit less maybe. Huge blow for Notre Dame. And now there's talks of maybe a true freshman starting, some guys. There's a lot of question marks about who's going to be at left tackle for the Fighting Irish. And listen, if you're struggling at left tackle, you're in trouble. That's just the reality. The good news for the Aggies is we all feel pretty good about who they have at left tackle with Trey Zune. So if left tackle is a problem for Notre Dame, this Texas A&M defensive line is going to feast. And you got to remember, this is strength on weakness, strength on weakness. Texas A&M and Notre Dame both have incredible defensive lines. Both of these teams also have questionable offensive lines. So you could really say whoever's offensive line, I mean, you can, it's a vice versa situation. Whoever's offensive line plays better against the more dominant defensive line wins that battle. Whichever defensive line dominates the other team's O-line wins. If Texas A&M can win in the trenches, they're going to win this game. Because what that would mean is they're doing a good job, this offensive line is, giving Conner Weigman time, A, and B, that means on the flip side of things, they're getting in Riley Leonard's face all game long. They're making his life miserable. Man, you know what? It's funny. Football's here, ladies and gentlemen. I can't talk about this game and not get giddy. I bet y'all feel the same way. It's like a week from tonight, we're going to be going to bed kind of shaking a little bit. You know what I mean? That's how I'm going to be, knowing the Aggies play Notre Dame tomorrow, and it's college game day in College Station. What a special time. The weather, we're starting to feel a little bit. It's almost football time. We're there. We really are there. But I want to get into this article. It's going to be fun. We're going to be doing a lot of, we're going to talk to our Notre Dame host here at Locked On. We might have some other folks. We're going to really break this game down over the next week. But this article is titled, Texas A&M faces the same key concern as Notre Dame ahead of the 2024 season. Really solid article here. The kind of headline here says, this has been the Notre Dame versus Texas A&M one-sided narrative forever. The most prevalent narrative surrounding the Notre Dame and Texas A&M huge Week 1 matchup, even before the recent Irish injury news, is how the Irish offensive line will hold up against the Aggies' athletic defensive front. The matchup has been widely discussed by both the media and fans since the game's first preview. The relevance of this question has only grown now that Notre Dame must replace their starting left tackle just 2 weeks into camp. Everyone knows the matchup will dictate the tone of the game. But why isn't this narrative being pushed in reverse? And it should be. This is where he gets into what we're talking about here. Notre Dame's defensive front will be a problem for Texas A&M. Why aren't more people talking about what Notre Dame's defensive front could do to the Texas A&M vulnerable interior offensive line, which PFF has rated as the team's biggest weakness? Is it because there's an assumption that SEC athletes won't lose physical battles to Notre Dame all night? I don't know if I'd say that's the problem. The Irish will pressure Conner Weigman and challenge his protection. This defense has shown they can compete with top-tier athletes with a deep rotation of nearly a dozen players. They'll conserve energy in the Texas heat while staying productive. Texas A&M's defensive front is legit, but so is Notre Dame's, and it deserves respect. So I saw the article. I agree with everything he's saying there, but I mean, if you've tuned in to Locked On Aggies, my friend, this has been discussed by me for 2 months. I mean, this isn't Texas A&M's offense. It feels like he's kind of pulling the whole. And I don't think this is his goal. I think you got to understand, like, when you cover a single team, you don't always see the narratives that you think should be pushed, even though maybe they are a little bit being pushed. And like, I think what he's saying is more people should be talking about how Texas A&M's offensive line, it has a lot of question marks. And I've been saying it for a while, but once again, I mean, maybe he's not seeing that, is seeing me, seeing other Texas A&M media members saying stuff like that. So, I think that people are saying that. I think we can all agree that Texas A&M's offensive line, we are a week away from the start of the season. And to me, the offensive line is the last thing that I'm sitting here going, oh goodness, please be good. Please be good. I feel super confident in this secondary. I feel confident in the linebackers, feel great about the defensive line, tight ends, receivers, running backs, even with the injury to Reuben Owens, quarterback, feel really good all around this team, except for offensive line. If this offensive line ends up being better than we expect and stops Notre Dame's defensive line, they're going to win this football game. Simple as that. If they don't, and Conner Weigman's pressured all game long and having to make bad, quick decisions, which could lead to bad decisions, that's when this team's in trouble. So, and then to get to the quarterback battle, so who wins the trenches will decide this game, and then the quarterback battle. Riley Leonard's a guy who has proven he's a great college quarterback. Conner Weigman has proven he can be a great college quarterback, but will he take that next step to being a great college quarterback? That is what is still to be decided. And ladies and gentlemen, I really do believe that Conner Weigman's going to take that step. If you listen to the show on a day-to-day basis, if you're an everydayer here at Locked On Aggies, I think that. If I was starting a team and you could give me Riley Leonard or Conner Weigman, I'm taking Conner Weigman. I just am. I think that he is a better quarterback with a better upside. And I love Riley Leonard, man. I mean, I'm telling you, he is a great person. Coach Elko loves him. He just seems like a great young man. There was a few great interviews with him last year when Duke hosted Game Day. It's just cool stuff. Great young man. But I'm taking Conner Weigman. And I think that Conner Weigman, we've seen his name in mock drafts. We've seen him considered a top quarterback when it comes to the NFL. But he has got to prove it in this game on College Game Day. You think these NFL teams aren't going to be tuning in? You think these people aren't going to be looking, waiting to see what Conner Weigman can be? They are. And this is his opportunity to prove what I've been saying on this show for 6 months, that Conner Weigman is the best kept secret in college football. This game is his opportunity to prove it. And ladies and gentlemen, I believe he's going to do that. And he's going to do that emphatically, leading the Aggies to a victory. The line is widening. I have now seen Texas A&M minus 3 points. It was started at 1, I believe. I've seen it get to 1.5, 2, 2.5. Now it's up to 3. People think Texas A&M can win this game. There is no better way to get the Mike Elko era off than with a massive top 10 victory in front of your home crowd on College Game Day. I think the Aggies win this football game. We'll break it down more throughout the week. But if Conner Weigman outplays Riley Leonard and the Aggies win in the trenches, they win this football game. Simple as that. Also, Texas A&M is more talented than Notre Dame. Don't believe me? I'll tell you why. Coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. Hey, Locked On Aggies fans. I want to take a moment to give you a heads up on a brand new mobile game that I think you are going to love as much as I do. Ultimate College Football Head Coach. In this amazing game and simulation, you get to step into the shoes of a head coach and lead your college football program to glory. Can you imagine actually being the head coach of the Aggies? From recruiting players and hiring coaching staff to overseeing training camps and handling scholarships, you control every crucial detail of your program. It's all in your hands. Will you be able to handle the pressure? And here's what I really love about the game. You are responsible for calling offensive plays during the games. Your strategy will not only determine the success of your football season, but will shape the future and legacy of your program. Ultimate College Football Head Coach is completely free, has no ads, and is 100% playable offline. You can play on the go as you want, when you want to. And of course, we have a special offer for Locked On Aggies fans. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB, all caps, inside the game store to receive a free boost to your program. Make sure to take advantage of this perk as it will get your team off to a strong start. To download the game, just visit ultimate-cfb.com. ultimatecfb.com. Look it up on the App Store. Ultimate College Football Head Coach. Begin your coaching legacy today. So, the Aggies are more talented than the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Don't believe me? Well, I'm going to tell you why right here. Our friends over at 24/7 Sports put out their 2024 Team Talent Composite, and the Aggies come in at number 7 overall. I want to paint a picture to y'all of what this means. This means that Texas A&M is the 7th most talented team in college football. And this is who I want to speak to. This is who the people that I want to have a conversation with. The folks that said, well, Texas A&M lost everything. Well, every Texas A&M player moved on. You lost Walter Nolan. You lost Evan Stewart. Those two things are true, but you didn't lose everybody. And this right here proves exactly what I have been saying for months here at Locked On Aggies. So the rankings, there's one team that Texas A&M will play this season ahead of the Aggies, and that is the Texas Longhorns. They were 4th. The Aggies were 7th. Their score was a 953.95. The Aggies were a 914.52. Now, Notre Dame is right on Texas A&M's tail, 10th overall, with a score of 905.52. So the teams that you play on your schedule that are on this list, you've got, of course, Texas at 4, LSU at 9 with a 906.19, Notre Dame, like I said, at 10 with a 905.52, Florida, 12th overall, which is actually something we're going to talk about here in a minute, at 894.24. You've then got Auburn at 833.61, and you've got Missouri at 807.36. So what this means is by the numbers. Now, you can roll your eyes at numbers, and I understand that. That's fair. I've seen some folks in the comments when I discuss blue chip ratio that say, well, I don't really believe in blue chip ratio. And that's fine. It doesn't have to be your thing. I get that. But looking at this right here, the Aggies will only play one team more talented than them. By the numbers, I know that talent isn't always numbers, but by the numbers, Texas A&M will only play one team more talented than them this season. And frankly, that means a lot to me because what I'm saying here is this. Let's throw this out the window. And let's say that all these teams on here, it's a wash pretty much between Texas and the Aggies, LSU and Notre Dame and Florida and Tennessee, or not Tennessee, excuse me, and Auburn and Missouri. It's a wash, right? Well, what that means is the Aggies are just as talented as those teams. If you don't want to look at the numbers and you want to say, well, I don't know, I don't believe in all this, at least give us here that this means that the Aggies are just as talented as the rest of these teams. I'm obviously going to follow the numbers, and say they're more talented. But the point here is this: Texas A&M will not play a football game this season, besides Texas, technically, where they're not the more talented team. And that means a lot. Because to me, when you look at this, the Aggies can play with anybody. That's what you should take away from this. Now, I can already see it. You know what's funny? I didn't actually think about bringing this point up, but now I can see the comments coming in, especially knowing we'll probably have a lot of Notre Dame fans, and excited to have you all over next week. Really excited to break down this game. So I'm excited to have all the Notre Dame fans here. But I think that the real takeaway from this for me is that Texas A&M is in a position to overachieve. But I lost my train of thought. What I was trying to get at a minute ago, I can already see the comments saying, well, Andrew, Texas A&M's always really talented. Yes, Texas A&M was always really talented under Jimbo Fisher. This operation under Mike Elko is so smooth. It is working so well. It is a well-oiled machine. It truly is. This new staff is going to be spectacular. I think Coach Colin Klein is going to be the best offensive coordinator potentially in college football this year. He's work his way into a head coaching job with what he's going to do this year. I'm very confident in that. I think Coach Elko and Coach Bateman together are going to have this defense locked in. I think Coach Cushing with the offensive line is going to have this unit in a spot that we didn't see it last year. He's produced talent over the years. He's put guys in the NFL. I think you're going to see a better Texas A&M offensive line this year. Maybe not elite, but better. And as I've said for weeks, better might be enough. So, really, when I saw this, it made me feel a lot better about some offseason claims I've made about this football team, because once again, this tells me there is nobody Texas A&M can't hang with. Are they going to lose some games this year? Yes. Are they going to lose some heartbreakers, some close ones? Yes. Would I still take, do I still lean towards some of these teams, Texas and Missouri and LSU coming in and probably winning and having a good shot? Sure. But this team is more talented than a lot of those teams, and they're going to hang around. They're not going to just, lose easy in some of these games, and this talent proves it. The one little short conversation I want to have before we move into segment 3, Florida being 12th says a lot. I said this a week or two ago when I talked about, are we talking enough about the Florida game? I think people look at Florida's schedule and write them off. When you're a team that everyone knows you're not going to be in playoff contention, that's just a fact, you kind of get written off. And I think that's a little bit what's happened here with Florida, knowing that they have one of the toughest schedules I've ever seen in any sport ever in my life. I mean, it's a gauntlet. It is truly a gauntlet. I think a solid football team really might win like 4 games, maybe 3. Maybe 5. Like in that 3 to 5 wins. If they make a bowl, good for Napier. Seriously, like good for him. But Texas A&M cannot overlook this Florida team. They are better. They are better than people are giving them credit for. People are writing them off because of the schedule. Everyone knows they're not going to have a super successful year, but that does not mean they're not a good football team. And this is going to be a tough game for the Aggies to go win in the swamp early into the football season. So for those that go through A&M schedule and go, Florida win, I don't think you can do that. You cannot mix that game in with the games against teams like Mississippi State or teams like even South Carolina or Arkansas. You cannot mix it in that group. It is a different group, especially knowing this game is on the road. So Florida is going to be a solid football team, and this is not going to be an easy game. While I think the Aggies can win, it is not going to be a game where they're just going to walk into the swamp and win this thing easy. It's going to be a tough back and forth football game. I've got 2 mailbag questions, and then that's going to do it for this week here at Locked On Aggies. But we're going to answer those coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I got to tell you about our friends over at Game Time. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I am heading to a concert this evening. Really excited about it. It's going to be a ton of fun. A couple of buddies and I are going up there. We got Airbnb. We're going to go to the casino after. It's going to be a fun night. Hopefully, we're going to win a little bit of money so we can put it on the Aggies to beat Notre Dame. But where did I get the tickets? to the concert, you might ask? Well, it's a very simple answer. Those of you that listen to Locked On Aggies every single day know that I got those tickets on Game Time. It is the best place to buy tickets. And once again, frankly, the only place anybody should ever buy tickets. Ever buy tickets. You got to go check out Game Time. I promise you will not regret it. Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets like I did with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. So someone sent me a Twitter DM and asked me this question. I just want to go over this for a minute because we have an important conversation to have about our content for next week. But someone asked me, Andrew, what's it going to take for the Aggies to beat Texas? And one thing I think it's going to take is you're going to have to see that Texas run game kind of be deteriorated. We've talked about the Longhorns have lost 2 running backs. They're in a tough spot there. You know, and once again, Texas A&M is a running back away from being in a somewhat similar spot. But, you know, Texas has lost 2 running backs. They're in a tough spot. I think if their running game's in trouble and this Texas A&M secondary ends up being as good as we think it's going to be really hard for them, even with Quinn Ewers, to move the football. And then all you got to do is find a way to score some points. So I think the defense playing well, shutting down their run game, making Ewers throw the football and you know, locking them down in the secondary is how you win this game. And then receivers get open. Conner Weigman hit his targets, score some points that way. I think that'd be the key to a victory there for the Aggies against the Longhorns. But I want to discuss this with y'all real quick, and I want you to let me know your thoughts on this. So last year, our content for game weeks, you know, and I forget the order. I'll look back at it. We did the most important matchups. We did keys to a victory. We got some quotes from coaches. We did a lot of different stuff like that for game weeks. What I want y'all to do for me is, and we'll do another show. I plan to do this Monday. Where we're going to go position by position on Texas A&M and Notre Dame's roster. Actually, a Notre Dame fan commented and said, hey, I think you should do this. And so we're going to do that. We're going to go position by position on Monday, the whole team, for both teams, to talk about where do the Aggies have an advantage, where do the Fighting Irish have an advantage. We're going to be impartial. We're going to really break all that down. That's Monday's show. But what I'm asking y'all is let me know in the YouTube comments, what game week content would y'all like to see? We'll, of course, have a post-game show, either the night after or the morning after the games. So let me know in the YouTube comments what game week content, weekly game week content. And then, of course, we'll also on the Monday after a game week, we'll break down the game again. And then those next 4 days, the previous game, the next 4 days will be previewing the game the weekend after. But let me know in the YouTube comments what is some content that y'all would like to see during game weeks that we can have here on the show. If you have any ideas, send me a DM on Twitter or put them in the YouTube comments. Really anxious and excited to hear y'all's thoughts on that. But that's going to do it for this week here at Locked On Aggies. Ladies and gentlemen, we are 1 week away from the Aggies facing the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I cannot handle my excitement, and I know that all y'all are right there with me. Hope everyone has an outstanding rest of their Friday. Hope everyone has a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday right here at Locked On Aggies.